So, in the interest of full disclosure, if you can't tell, I'm a little hungover.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure, I'm a little hungover. It's not even the worst part of this whole thing, Alex. The worst part is that I am hungover after 3 beers. And
it's embarrassing.
I was asleep by 1 a.m. Pacific. I know it's relevant. And me and my buddy Armando, who we went and hung out and just caught up, had a couple beers, and we're like, you know what would be a good idea, because we're obviously still 22, is to go get Jack in the Box at 12 p.m. And we were both like, oh, but that's not like a great idea. So we'll just split something. I woke up with heartburn, and I have heartburn. I'm hungover. I am definitely sleepy. And my knee still hurts. You know what? So if we're just throwing it all out there, I could use a vacation, is all I'm saying. And this, to a remote island.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is the remote island you want to go to.
No. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fandom Social Live. We're doing a movie review for the film Blink Twice. Boom. Blink Twice. Are you having a good time? Starring Naomi, Ackie, Channing Tatum, Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Adria Aronia. I think it's like a soft J. Adria Aronia, Kyle MacLachlan, Haley Joel Osment, Gina Davis, and Aaliyah Shawkat. Which I feel like it's always like she's all the way over to the right on this banner, and I'm like, I don't know if I like.
She should be more in the middle,
Yeah.
But the problem is that you get a Kyle MacLachlan who could be in it for like a minute, but he's Kyle MacLachlan, so they're like, we gotta put him right.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, man. If you're gonna put the accent on to say Adria Aronia,
I think it's Adria Aronia.
Then you gotta put on one for Kyle MacLachlan too.
He doesn't sound like that though. At least she has an accent. Oh, I gotta do one for Kyle MacLachlan.
God, that's terrible. That's terrible.
It was actually better than I thought in my current state.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll try that again tomorrow.
Maybe not.
Hi.
Well, everyone, Blink Twice is a movie that just came out, and as you saw probably on the poster there, it is the directorial debut of Zoe frickin' Kravitz.
Yes. Let's get a picture. I'm going to get this picture up of her just because she looks.
I know you think it's scary. I think she looks badass.
Well, the thing is, you could be badass and scary. Like, she's scary because she looks like she's going to punch me in the face. Mm-hmm. She's got a very big expression of, ugh, Alex is here. Maybe that's what it is. I've seen that face so many times. That I'm intimidated by it. I'm triggered.
It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. So Zoe Kravitz, her father, for some reason, if you don't know who she is, famous.
Who cares who her dad is? Who cares?
Yeah, but famous leather pantsman, I call him. Mm-hmm. And the man doesn't own a shirt that's one solid shirt. So this is a directorial debut. And again, I think it's interesting. Starring her husband. He is her husband, right? Channing Tatum. Which we'll get into. I think they're married. Someone can maybe you can fact check.
I'm going to Google it because I don't keep up with celebrity relationship news. But if you're going to mention it, I have to verify.
So while Alex is doing that, the plot of Blink Twice is when a tech billionaire, Slater King, Channing Tatum, meets cocktail waitress Frida at his fundraising gala. He invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. As strange things start to happen, Frida questions her reality. I really like that description of it because I think it does a good job of overviewing the mystery aspect of it and sort of putting Slater King, Channing Tatum's character, right at the forefront of this mystery.
Right, because everyone has feelings about tech billionaires. You know what I mean?
I mean, name one thing they've ever done wrong?
That's
I don't know where all this billionaire slander is coming from. I thought we all loved billionaires.
you know me. I love them all. They're my favorite people on the planet. I talk about them every time. To Autumn's chagrin, I'm always bringing up billionaires. Oh, nice coughing. Well, but by the way, just so I can say, you're fake news. She is married to Carl Glusman, who is known for, he was in Civil War, Little Death, Reptile, The Bike Riders. I remember him in The Bike Riders.
Which one's he in The Bike Riders?
He's the one who rides the motorcycle.
I'm gonna freaking scream.
You should. I don't want to bring. I don't want to make this about him. Okay.
Okay.
About Zoe's date.
I have some points about her casting her love, her man in this.
But he's not.
Okay, so maybe they're not married, but I think they're together.
Wait, because are you talking about Zoe Kravitz and Channing
Tatum? Yes.
Okay, so Zoe Kravitz is publicly in a relationship with Channing Tatum, even though she is married currently to Carl Glusman. So she is an open relationship. That's what I'm asking.
Thank you, Dwayne Madison. Good morning. Nope, divorced. She's engaged to Tatum.
Well, I thought I don't have
Alexis, thank you. They're together.
When did this happen? Because my Google has not provided me with this update.
No one told Alex. What the hell? Now your notes are all wrong.
No, I just Googled it. It literally says that she's still married.
Honestly, though, can we give her some credit for the fact that, like, even on a cursory Google, you can't find too much about her love life other than like, I guess they're married or whatever. But yeah, they've been pretty public, like, on this specific press tour. Anyways, so the reason that I found that to be interesting is because
I'm very disappointed in Google. Speaking of tech billionaires, Paul, I'm very disappointed in Google right now.
Ronald L. Google, shame on you.
Now continue. Sorry to disrupt you.
It's okay. Believe it or not, on this show, I've become quite accustomed to it. So I found it was really interesting in this film, you know, that before we say what we thought of this movie, I know we're kind of all over the place right now, but reining it in, before we talk about exactly what me and Alex thought about Blink Twice, because I think it was not as divisive as a movie as I thought it would be when it came out. Like, I feel like everyone is pretty much on the level about this, which we'll get into, but the casting, I feel, is really important to understand this film, because you have got, of course, Channing Tatum, Kyle MacLachlan.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
You got him pulled up? Yeah. Channing Tatum, Kyle MacLachlan, Haley Joel Osment,
look at
Rex. I always forget his full Simon Rex, Christian Slater. A lot of people who, to my knowledge, are relatively beloved as people, you know, and as actors always tend to play positive characters. So
yes, some of them play like in the middle, but like some of them have, like, when you think of their name, you think of this thing, and it's usually a positive.
Exactly, which I feel like is very disarming for this, because, you know, spoiler alert if you've been on the internet, but things are not as they seem, and the men are not as kind in this film as you were led to believe originally. Yes. And I think this casting of these disarming Hollywood men is a really, really smart idea. One of the many smart ideas of Zoe Kravitz. As I've been talking about this, me and my buddy last night, he just saw this movie with his girlfriend, which I would have felt would have been an interesting thing, like if me and my girlfriend would have saw this together, to see like how she perceived it, because my buddy liked it more than his girlfriend. It's not, right. He's a bigger movie guy, but she was just like he was like, that was really entertaining, and she was like, that was really scary.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that that's a divisive kind of idea in that, where me, I was like, oh, this is, you know, there's some chuckles in this, like, oh, this is fun, like, oh, this is annoying. I'm like, oh, this has just got really messed up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So before we start getting into spoiler territories, multiple territories, my brain is very clearly just
Yeah.
duct taped together. Alex, what did you think overall of the film? Like, very simply, did you like it? Did you not like it? What are your thoughts on
I
it?
liked it. I liked it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There are movies that I'm like, "Ugh," or I get like really like I start dissecting whatever. This was this I definitely liked it. I didn't like kill, but I was like, this was especially for a directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially for a co-writing and co-direct. I thought this was a real. It's so funny. I don't want to sound like it's a strong showing for Zoe Kravitz. You know,
Do it, because I'm gonna do it. So,
okay. I need a fucking. Hold on. I need like my cigarette. Like, you know.
but I'm more of the pretentious asshole on this
Yeah.
show generally.
But it
So, like,
was a very, very strong showing. There was a lot of elements in here of suspense, a thriller, and there was odd things in it, which are like, sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, man, that. But lately, when someone throws in an odd twist, like we watched the last one we did, Cuckoo and Long Legs. Like, it's bizarre, and I'm no longer so averse to like, man, that's a weird thing to just throw into this movie. No, and I think Jordan Peele may have retrained my brain on that, because when Jordan Peele started making his horror movies, he's like, I'm going to do this thing, but I'm just going to throw in this weird twist that you wouldn't even think of, and I'm like, man, that is weird. So now I've trained my brain to be like, accept weird things.
Yeah,
and so that's why when weird stuff happens in this, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here for it. I've already been prepared for it. So all my horror and thriller stuff, I'm in that zone. I'm there for it. So anyways, short story, I like it.
Okay. I agree. I agree with a lot of that. I really liked the movie as well. Built was really strong showing for Zoe Kravitz in her directorial debut. The mise en scene and so much of this, the mise en scene in a lot of this film is fantastic. But like, jokes aside, it's really cool. Like, it was a movie that I felt encompass Zoe Kravitz. Like, it's really cool. It's really just like sleek. It's very artistic in a way that only someone who's grown up in the Hollywood machine and entertainment machine could do, in a way that's like purposeful but not so like preachy. And I'm talking about just like the scenery of everything, because it's like, I think you expect like a beach, really, and like it's not really like a beach thing. It's just like a resort, and they're in an undisclosed South American place, I think,
with a lot of bright colors. There's a lot of bright red, Everyone's always wearing white. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's just always wearing white. She, like, just to start going into a little bit of the story, it's like every time she opens her drawer, there's a dress in there that's perfectly her size, and it's always white, and it's always beautiful. And everything is exactly the same. They all have the same outfits. They all have the same attitudes.
Like this is the white dress. Like, this is how pretty much everyone is dressed throughout the entirety of the movie, which even I feel is cool. Like, I dig like what Channing Tatum's wearing, like, as a vacation fit,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, my vacation fit is the same thing I wear today. But like, it's funny because like you start out and this is the beginning.
Right.
They're all have their own identities here in this picture. Everyone's got their own identity, their own personality. Everyone is completely different, including this little lady with Channing Tatum here. But they all look different. They all bring their own personalities, and then all of a sudden, like, there's this whole homogenization of everyone who comes here. And speaking of Zoe Kravitz, like growing up in the Hollywood machine, there's also that's what like kind of threw me off a little bit about the story, because I know one thing that Zoe Kravitz definitely deals with in her circle is she probably deals with a lot of these like tech bros and a lot of these rich people who just show up to her parties where she's at and there's like,
hey Zoe, I want to pitch you on an idea. It is a very small batch alkaline water for dogs that is produced completely not in America. I just need $2 million of startup capital. And honestly, it'd be so it's like that conversation.
Yeah.
all the time, anywhere she goes. And that mindset, that person is who are a lot of these dudes. You find out little bits about who these men are and like what they do throughout the film, but like you don't get like a full, Jonathan Hickman style backstory where it's like you don't get that, but I think it's probably for the best. Truly.
Because you know what? It's almost like these are insert generic, tech billionaire bros, and thank you. I do speak tech. Zub, 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 zoo is, actually.
Is that the language of what's his name? Mork?
Yeah.
Is that Mork's language?
But like, I feel like not giving them a backstory, like also increases that whole thing where it's just like, you are any tech bro. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I do love, you got the Christian Slater, who is like the elder statesman of this group of a-holes, all the way down to like the youngest, like the super young guy whose name I cannot remember. But it is from the picture. It is the gentleman all the way to the left.
His name is Lucas.
Okay, Lucas in the movie is Lucas, but so you have
also related to Maya Hawke. I think he's one of Ethan Hawke's kids.
You know what? I should have.
Oh yeah, his name's Levon.
Yeah.
Levin Hawke is his name.
Yeah, he looks like a hawk. They're probably twins. So it's like you get this whole spectrum, and then on the side with the ladies, you've got a multicultural mix going through here with the ladies. And honestly, I think that plays a part in a lot of the movie and a lot of the stories. I mean, the story of this movie. So, and I'm trying my best not to give stuff away. The only person missing in that picture that's really important, in my opinion, is Gina Davis, because I think I've brought this up in streams before. I love Gina Davis so much.
Well, I mean, Gina Davis, you guys all, I mean, she's in the league of her own. We don't even need to talk about, Is
there a pun intended with that? That was good. That was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So if you are intending on watching this film and you want to come back and talk about this after, now, obviously we're only going to be live for like another 25, 30 minutes. So you want to come back to this video and talk with us in the comments. That's great. But we are going to start getting into spoiler territories because this story is fucking crazy. And I really, really want to talk about a lot of the bigger elements of this film and what this means for Zoe Kravitz as like a filmmaker going forward, because I think it's really important. And and by the way, just to say, I'm looking forward to seeing her second showing. Yeah. Hopefully she can avoid her sophomore slump. But if you guys are going, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the notification bell. Again, it takes you a second, but it means a lot to us. We appreciate it. So, all right, Alex, let's get into. I want to talk about the very, very. Okay, so ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler time.
It's like, whoa! It's like Jurassic World. We're in spoiler territory.
Don't remind me. Jurassic World. Stop.
No, we're gonna get DCA'd. So, with that, everyone, the very first thing that you see, and I think one of the important things to know about this film, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this too, Alex, because like sometimes like we watch a lot of movies and there's always directors who try to be like a little camp right up top before the movie even starts, the credits start rolling. But I felt like this was very purposeful for Zoe Kravitz as someone who has, again, been in an industry where this whole movie is about assault. It's about power dynamics. It is about
control,
forgiveness, memory, and what you are allowed to remember, and what the overall memory that people have of you is. Like, what does the general public think?
Like, people controlling what you're supposed to remember, like controlling the narrative of your life, right? It's not just about memory. It's not just about what people think of you, perception, because that's all in there, right? There's a perception of who you are versus what you're supposed to be. There's a perception of who you want to be. There's gender dynamics, there's power dynamics, but also like there's the controlling of the narrative of what your life is. right?
Yeah, and then there's even, Alex, you brought up like a really, really good point that I had written down somewhere. And again, I'm hungover. I have no idea where my notes are, so we're
You
just
ate them.
going for it. But I had written how I think the the race of a lot of these characters are.
Mhm.
The race of a lot of these characters is an important element as well, because there
Right,
is this element of not only gender control but racial control. Then when you
right,
mix into a person of color who is also in a marginalized group,
right.
it becomes a level of fetish. I can never get this word right.
Fetishization.
Fetishization that I'm sure Zoe Kravitz has experienced in her life. Like there's films that she's been in that were, like she's spoken very publicly about how there's times where people have casted her because like she was black but not too black.
Right.
They're like, oh,
She said that a
or
lot. Yeah.
yeah, they said that she was perfect because you're like, oh, she's not too black. It's great. And you're
Right.
like, Jesus.
Right.
Like, so it right up top with the movie, there is a almost like a trigger warning. And it doesn't flash on screen. It actually stays on screen. And it is because there are depictions of sexual assault in the film. And honestly, I really appreciated that she did that, like for the wider audience, because when that does happen, you're like, whoa, it's very jarring to
It,
everything else happening in the film.
right. Because you're going through this movie, you see things, you have these snippets, and it's like imagine watching a horror movie, but like you're getting all this buildup and then everything's just fine, and all of a sudden, like, Jason just comes out of nowhere, you don't expect it, and just chops someone's head off. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how jarring the transition was. You're going through like like an hour of this movie, and you're like, something's going on, but like nothing's really happening. And you're like, do. All right, you're trying to figure it out. You're like, what's going on? All of a sudden, it just happens, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, you're like, what the f? And as a guy, who this is not being depicted as happening to, like I was like, you're just
Mm-hmm.
shook. You're just shook because like, why should anyone be comfortable with it?
Yeah, exactly. Like it was almost, and then again, another reason why I like this movie from Zoe Kravitz, because it almost felt like she was done playing nice, and this is the only way that she's going to get people to hear what she has to say, which again may or may not be true. I have not looked into if she has dealt with advocacy for SA before. Like I haven't, I don't know. But like assuming she has in some capacity, it's like I made a movie that's about that cost another studio a bunch of money just to depict this thing, to show this,
Right.
In this fictionalized version of this very real thing.
Right.
And that's the only way you people will listen. And
Right, which is
it's both sad and a little empowering, right? Which is like sort of the tone of all her press junkets.
right. And I haven't watched her
Mhm.
press junkets. That's more your nerd thing. I go and I just kind of put my own thing on it. And I'm gonna say something that just sounds very weird, but for me, it was like Barbie. Right. I had a discussion with some exactly.
Mm.
I had a discussion with a young man about the Barbie movie, and he's like, I thought it was a little too on the nose. I thought they were just a little too on the nose. And like that speech that America Ferrara gives was just too on the nose. I was like, yeah, the whole point of the movie is that they've been trying to subtly tell you. It's like that person in the side of it's like, but do you think? But do you think? And then at some point, they're just sick of like trying to like ease you into what they're trying to say. And they're just like, listen to what I'm saying. And that was like the Barbie, and that's the only comparison I'm really making to the Barbie movie, where it's like like women who are tired of like subtly trying to tell you. This is Zoe Kravitz being like, BT Dubs, man, it sounds so much nerdier when I say it.
Sounds very Gen X of you.
Yeah,
like
you
just saw that on your
BT
Facebook feed,
yeah,
and you're just like, I'm gonna
BT
try this out.
I forgot one movie I saw that in that made me laugh, and it's the only reason I say it. It was a comedy, and I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever. Oh, 30 Rock.
Deadpool.
No,
Oh,
it was 30 Rock, where some guy, some like rich, like, wannabe executive says to what's his name, Alec Baldwin's character,
Alec Baldwin.
Jack Donaghy. He's like,
Jack Donaghy.
BT Dubs, Jack, I've got a blah blah blah. And I was like, BT Dubs is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I have to say it all the time.
What's his name says it in Deadpool too? The villain. The
Oh.
guy. When he's just like, BT Dubs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why do you know BT Dubs?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you're able
for
to
me,
tell
it was 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin. Once again, rich executives, all terrible. So, anyways, but she's like, I'm gonna make this movie, and I'm gonna stop being like, oh, but maybe not. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
No, she's just like, by the way, opens the door, you see it, and you're like, whoa. And it's not like Game of Thrones style where it's almost like, well, Game of Thrones is almost like romanticized. It's like as weird as it sounds, they like present it in this way where like they constantly shove it in your face, but as like this like just tool to move the story on. This is like shock you. You need to listen to what we're saying. Look at this thing. Look at it. Stop.
Yeah.
Like they're grabbing your head and saying, "Look at it."
Mm-hmm.
Or Game of Thrones, like, "Oh, this is happening in the side," or like whatever. This is just happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. So much of it is very purposeful, and I think this. So where we kind of get into the film, and I'm gonna rocket through this, and Alex is just going to give his little interstitials in between. We start with Naomi Akkie's character, and
Let me bring her up.
I can never also pronounce her name correctly. Aaliyah, is it Shakwat?
Shakwat.
Aaliyah Shakwat, who bring up the larger, So them two, they are best friends. They are working for a catering company. Well, while they're at this catering company, you can see Frida, the previous woman, who
This is her. This is
she
Frida.
is she's sort of pining after Slater King. Yeah, Slater King.
Slater King. What a name.
Because they are at this convention for King Tech, which is his tech company. He's like if Mark Zuckerberg wasn't a reptilian, essentially,
right?
Because he's handsome, he's suave, and I thought he was really. I thought Channing Tatum was very good in this role,
very charismatic,
of a tech billionaire who's attractive, knows he's attractive, but he's got layers to him. Like I feel, and then ultimately, as we'll get into, is the main antagonist of this movie. So they're pining after him. They bring these dresses. So at the end of their shift, they go and enjoy the cocktail party with King Tech when events ensue and Frida bumps into Slater King, who is Channing Tatum's character, and he helps her up, and he like snaps off her other heel, which I can like, it would probably be the scariest part of that movie for my girlfriend. She'd be like, oh, just hearing this, the heel snap, just like, I'm like, oh God, like, yeah. And so it is, these different people are introducing themselves to Frida, and it's like almost this whirlwind of attraction and luxury and decadence that sweeps Frida onto this island with Slater King, Channing Tatum's character, and their friends, and she brings along
I think
Ali Shawkat.
I think Aaliyah Shakwat, like she was a secondary, right? Because I don't know if she was originally supposed to go or like her friend dragged her along. I forget what it was. But yeah, I feel like she wasn't originally going to go. I don't remember. I just saw the movie a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not super fresh. But
I think I haven't seen it since, I think we saw it in the same week. But I've been watching like a couple of videos to like refresh my mind and my memory. Jesus Christ, that is very telling of my day. And yeah, I think it doesn't like explicitly say that Jess's character is or is not invited. She is just along for the ride.
And she is along for the ride.
So cut to the character Gina Davis is there, who also is his sister.
What? Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's his sister. It is not said in the film, but Gina Davis is Slater King, Channing Tatum's sister. The first thing that happens when they land on this beautiful island is she's like, phones in the bag. And you start to see all of the men like immediately put their phones in, and all of the other women, which there are two who are also incredible. We have a picture of them as well, Alex.
Hold on, I'll bring up the whole party picture, right?
Yeah, so it leads to that, and actually so that's a little later in the film. But
let's go to this. This is the full cast.
This is the full cast for sure. Yeah. But so you get this like weird sense that Aaliyah Shakwat, who is nope, That's not her. I don't even have my own. There we go. Alicia Shawkat, Jess's character. She's a little weary of it right up front, and she's just like, "Fuck it, we're here, we're on vacation." Like,
and I feel like she's the only one. She's the
Mhm.
only one who's like, really?
Yeah.
And then her friends like take phone, like everyone's just like throwing them in. She's the only one who's like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
And so then we get this photo, which is pretty important, I feel. You get a lot of the main characters, except Christian Slater. Christian Slater is not in this image because he is the one taking pictures on his Polaroid camera akin to this pretty much the entirety of the time. And a character that is important to see is the one that Channing Tatum's got his arm around up there. She's one of the workers on the island.
Yeah.
And it seems like she's been there for a while.
Forever.
And, like there's one of my knocks of the film is the next 20 minutes are really just showcasing a lot of directorial skill.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say a lot. It's the only it's exciting and it's fun and they're drinking and they're having fun and there's like some meaningful conversations, but like it doesn't really advance the plot forward.
No.
You know what part I'm talking about? Like they're in the pool.
You know
and
that's and by the way, that's when I left to get my popcorn because I was like,
oh okay, good. Yeah,
we're having one of these things.
You watched?
So I was watching it. I was like, oh, they're doing this whole thing. I'm like, okay, cool. And I did like how it was showcasing the island because like we probably paid a lot of money for this filming location. Let's get some shots. So I'm like, oh, that's this part of the movie. I'm gonna go get my popcorn because the line was way too long before. And I sat back down just in time for that part to end, and then the movie started moving.
What do you think would have been the popcorn bucket for this movie?
I don't want a popcorn bucket for this movie. But
maybe
in the Polaroid. Maybe in the Polaroid.
Oh, like it would have been a Polaroid camera.
But that would be
that you fill it from the top,
mm-hmm.
and when you press the button, like the little picture comes out, but it's just like a tray, and the popcorn comes down.
That could be one, or it could just be
it's like a pool skimmer.
Pool skimmer. Oh,
yeah.
It could be the party bag. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that would have saved them a ton. It's just like a shitty red bag that they sent out to the AMCs. $47, please, Alex. You're like, okay, I guess.
Or a chicken, maybe a chicken. I don't know.
Yeah. Jen Edwards. And hello everyone. Thank you for still being out there. Let us know if you're still alive out there. Because I know we're going into the storytelling part of this, but we still love to hear from you. Jen Edwards says the name Slater King reminds me of the band Sleater Kinney. Is that any relation to Letter Kenny? Because I don't know. I've never heard of that band.
You never heard of Sleater Kinney? Okay, that's cool.
No.
That's fine.
Alex, I'm a 30-year-old man.
Yeah, I know you're 30 now. You should know all the old people things. You're supposed
I'm getting up
on
there.
A laminated card. It shows up. These are the old people things you need to know.
Honestly, just put all of the old people things on the back of a Denny's menu, and I'm good. I'm in. So, so there is about 20 to 30 minutes of decadence that is being shown, and truly it is where like you see how vibrant, how like I understand we just told you what the overall terrible themes of the film are, but just hang with me here because I think it's purposeful. But like you see how like sexy and how like vibrant and fun Zoe Kravitz tries to make the first part of the movie,
right?
So that when you
settled.
come exactly, so that like you're lulled into that like the girls are, and then the movie really, really shows its face. So like
look at this
really along for the ride.
Look at the two of them. What a party! Look at this. By the way, the saturation being turned up with the greens and the yellows and the reds. And even that water, the saturation being turned up, it's just making you feel like you're in this beautiful, bright paradise, having a good time.
And so, essentially, and I think this is important for the film. And Alex, again, just cut in when I'm wrong. But their days start to run together. I'm gonna fucking screw. Their days start to run together because they follow this same pattern. Right. They get up, they go to the pool. They have breakfast.
Yeah.
Most important meal of the day. They get up. They have breakfast.
Wait 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes before they go swimming.
I heard it's 45. Like, is it 30 minutes or 4? I also heard that was a myth.
I don't know. I don't know. It's an
They're
island. They're on
old.
vacation. Someone in the comments, please correct us. Is it 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or is it a
Like,
myth
yeah, like you
before
have to
you go
wait
into a pool?
until I think it's a myth.
All right. Well, I'm going to Google it while
Well,
you
they did
continue
not
the story.
wait. So
They did
they
not
get
wait.
up, they
That
have
was the whole problem with
breakfast,
this movie. That was
they
the
start
horror.
drinking. Yeah, they start drinking at the pool. Yeah, mothers everywhere are like, "Oh my god, look, they didn't wait. That's terrible.
Like they get to
That's
the horrible.
horrible."
They get to the horrible part of the movie. And they're like, oh, that's fine, but they didn't wait to go into the pool.
It's like, no, she's like, oh, she's not wearing her flip flops in the community shower. It's horrible. So then once like nighttime starts happening, there's a bit of a gap because it always cuts from them drinking at the pool to dinner. So there's a big gap in this area here, which is sort of unexplained. Like they don't really get too much into it, but that's usually when you start seeing characters go off on their own, they go sleep, or like there's like some monologues start happening, which is showing the backstory of some of these characters, which again, we're not going to get into everyone because this will be a 2-hour show. Just go see the movie. But anyways, so then we get to dinner, and one of the guys, do we bring up the group shot too, Alex?
Well, okay, the group shot. Are we talking about guy to the left of Slater King?
Yes, to the left of Slater King. He's in the black shirt, open. He's actually a chef, and I think it's actually important to say he's there with Adria Aronia, who's in the black.
You think he thinks he's there with her?
Yes, he brought her.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't call me babe. Don't call me babe.
Don't call me babe."
Call me
and
babe.
I guess it's also important to say. So obviously, Naomi Ackie is there with Channing Tatum, and our two girls, Camilla and Heather, are there with Haley Joel Osment and Christian Slater. So respectively to who they are. So they have a really nice dinner because the guy that's there with Adria Aronia is a chef. And so he sits them all down and he's like, this is a beautiful. Did you like any of that food in there? Because it's very like artsy, like micro plate. Yeah. Is any of that like appetizing to you?
All it does is make me hungrier for something real.
I was like salivating because my girlfriend will plan dates and it's a myth. You don't have to wait.
It was in the 1908 Boy Scout handbook.
Oh, great. I would love to get our hands on that handbook and just have a show going through what that was about.
We'll dress up as Boy Scouts. It'll be great. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So that's so funny.
The food. Come on, Paul.
The food is like, it's like micro food. And my girlfriend was always just like, why do you always pick these places where we're going to be hungry right after? I was like, it's beautiful. It's art. And I was just like, I am so pretentious. I am such a pretentious asshole. And so I looked at all the food that this guy is serving. And I'm trying to remind myself of his Cody. Cody is the name of Simon Rex's character. He's the chef. So they have dinner and they talk and things start getting a little bit tense. But then they start taking drugs and they take like, what do you call it? I mean, I guess it would be like acid or LSD probably.
They took something. I don't remember what they were taking.
Yeah, but it was probably like a mix of like acid, maybe like ecstasy, just a bunch of stuff that really kind of like alter their consciousness. Yeah. I saw somewhere online, someone said it was probably like ayahuasca, but
it was not ayahuasca.
That's not what ayahuasca does to you. Yeah, I've heard
MDMA and something.
So it's like MDMA, just drugs, right? And so their state is altered and they're partying and they're just like, oh my God, I love you. And they're like speaking to like a plant. And then they wake up and you start seeing like, it's kind of funny because Naomi Ackie has like dirt under her nails and she's like, whoa, crazy party last night. And then the cycle happens again. They drink. Well, no, they get up, they have breakfast, they wait 30 minutes, and then they have dinner, take drugs, and they do it again. And that's sort of the montage that you run through of them just having fun and like the girls just bonding for about 20 minutes. And that's what I mean was my only knock on the film is that I feel that part takes a little too long.
There's not a whole. See, this is the part that was making me in the movie, and I was like, why is this happening? Is that Frida, especially this scene, Frida is super jealous, and
Yeah.
it drives me nuts. It was driving me nuts. But then we got to the point where you see that this is like a manufactured thing. Once again,
Mhm.
it's a control thing, right? This whole jealousy pitting the women against each other was this whole, it was a whole thing. It was like it was all manipulated. It was all
Yeah.
manufactured, and you just see it. And then obviously when that starts like moving away from that is like when I start to feel better. And I'm like, I'm like, Zoe, you did that on purpose. You made me annoyed by these two women fighting over the man. But not fighting, but like being like petty and shit over the man. You did this to me on purpose. How dare
Right.
you?
And
But
Alex is talking about Adria Aroña's character
mm-hmm,
and Naomi Aki's character are like both kind of pining after Channing Tatum,
mm-hmm,
but Naomi Aki's character was brought by Channing Tatum. So she's
right,
sort of, for all intents and purposes, has like a leg up and he's more
right.
interested in her. And Adria Aroña's character is like, look how like sleek and hot I am. I was on
I'm climbing
Survivor and like,
trees. I'm getting
yeah, she was
coconuts off
climbing
the trees
trees
and
and just like
slicing, chopping things open.
pretty sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And she's like, if like Bear Grylls had a skin routine,
right.
and she's great in it. And so things really like are like at this point are going, and then they completely come to a screeching halt
Reach.
when they're partying one night. They're in the drug phase of their normal night, and
Yeah.
man, Aaliyah Shawkwat's character gets bit by a snake
Yeah.
that is
A pest on the island.
it's a pest. Indigenous? Is it? It's an indigenous species.
It's indigenous to the island. It's
Yes.
indigenous to the island, and they're everywhere. And you're constantly seeing that lady who lives on the island killing and
Mm-hmm.
collecting these dead snakes. And you're like, oh my god, yeah.
There.
There's the lady up there with Channing Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
So she's constantly killing and collecting these dead snakes. And you're like, okay, that's a weird element. But obviously, when you're watching the movie, you're like, everything's got to be there for a reason. You're trying to figure out what the reason is. So she gets bit.
And immediately Channing Tatum is just like a little on edge, and so are all the guys, and everyone's just like, because they're, again, you guys, at this point they're drunk, they're high, and she gets bit, and it completely snaps her out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Channing Tatum comes over and he beats the snake to death. And she's like, "Am I gonna die?" And he's like, "It's it's not venomous. It's just like
No, it's venomous. It's just not deadly.
poisonous,
It'll be fine. Yeah,
or something." Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh, okay." So she goes and she's like, "I need to leave the party for a second." Goes and sits down on this log. Naomi Aki's character goes and comforts her best friend and is just like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "I want to leave." Aaliyah Shawkwat's character, who just got bit, is like, "I want to leave. How long have we been here? I want my phone. Like, I want to check in on my friends."
Yeah.
And the Naomi Aki gives a really great understated performance at that time. Is like, this is the only time I feel seen.
Right.
Like,
she's
I'm
feeling
not
like a person. And again,
yes.
Once again, it's that manufacture, that manipulation, that whole thing. Yes. She's like, this is where I feel seen. This is where I feel like a person instead of just some invisible. Because she was told earlier, that's a little thing they put in the beginning, like, be invisible, because you're a waitress and these are rich white guys with a ton of money. Don't, just be a waitress. Don't be seen by these people. And now she feels seen by these people who are in higher echelon than everybody else. So now she's like, wow, this is my thing. This is my time to shine. And Aaliyah Shawkwat, she's like, I want to leave. So there's a tenseness between the two of them. And again, this is, like Paul said, this is where that's the wall. That's the wall that we've been driving towards that crashes. And now we start to see all the cracks happening.
So then the characters, she goes back and the night kind of simmers down. And then Naomi Aki's character wakes up and she really notices like the dirt under her fingernails, and her fingernail like chips and it breaks. And I guess one thing we didn't mention, because again, there's so many like small details of this movie, but she's a waiter, right? She works at a skating
company. She does her own nails, really cute nails.
She does animals. and nail mails.
And nail mails. Yeah, little
And nail
animals on
mails.
her fingernails.
So she does really cool animal designs on her fingernails, and that's like her passion.
Which is, by the way, she mentions earlier that like the last time they had this party, she's like, "Oh, he really thought my nails were cute," so she made it a point to make her nails cute again.
Mm-hmm. And so then this is again where things start getting bad. So they wake up, in the normal routine, but like the pacing of the movie changes completely. Before it was very like quick cut, and
party,
also
drinking, drugs, dance, party, drinking, drugs, dance.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And someone made a point online, and I can't remember, so I can't credit them. I'm sorry, but they're like, this movie, like the first part of the movie, definitely felt like it was made for Gen Z because it was like quick cut, very very brief exposition, not too much, and then shiny,
Shiny,
and
party,
then
happy.
weed, shiny, and Zoe Kravitz like very expertly is starting to like slip it. When you gotta like give dogs their heart medication because you put it in a piece of cheese.
Yeah.
Like that's what she does with her messages. But the cheese are like quick cuts and shiny, shiny brand new islands, and she does a really good job. So again, movie completely changes at that point, and Aaliyah Shawkwat's character is gone.
Right.
So Jess is her name. So the one who got bit by the snake is gone. And then Naomi Accie's character, Frida, she's just like, where is my friend? Right. And she goes and she hangs out with the girls. Yeah. Again, they're just getting facials and hanging out, having like a spa day. And they're like, where is Jess? Who is Aaliyah Shawkwat's character who got bit? And they're like, I don't know who that is.
And they're literally passing around a lighter that
right.
Jess has made a point of, this is my lighter, give it back. And they're passing around this lighter to smoke weed, and no one remembers who she is, even though there's a lighter there with her name written on it. You know what I mean? So it's like none of these women remember, and Frida is the only one who seems to remember. No one seems to remember. But then more cracks start happening because it's almost like their brains are being forced to remember. And not everyone gets it, but like Frida's forcing her brain to try to remember. She now knows that there's something wrong. I don't remember things. Adria's character, Sarah, Adria's character, she is like, there's something going on, and now you've made me think about it. And she almost hates that she's thinking about it because she's like, I'm here, I'm partying.
Yeah, she's like upset with her almost. Yeah. And she's like, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about this, and I feel like Zoe Kravitz it maybe speaks from experience from other people who have suffered from who were victims of essays. Like, she didn't like make her Adria Aroña's character didn't make Naomi Accie's character feel crazy like right in the moment. She's just like almost immediately like, I believe you. And was just like, let's roll. And it was really refreshing to see that the whole, like, they both had this realization that everything that they're seeing and they're doing, and the decadence and what was it, Alex? The dancing, drugs, fun,
drugs, drink, weed,
dance, it's all manufactured. And even their jealousy with one another was manufactured, and they both kind of like snap out of it. And it's really where the movie does a complete 180 and starts moving away from like this thriller to almost like, to me, like a horror film is how it plays out.
That's exactly where, that's exactly what happens. It turns from that, because now you're like something's going to happen to us. Now they're realizing it, right? It's like an Alien when they realize they're all going to, they're like, we're being hunted. It's like now the tension has raised up because they're like, now we feel like we are something is being done to us, and something's going to happen to us if we don't do something. And so again, they have now forcing themselves to awaken, and they can't do it. Like, they're trying to, like, and then like, do we want to give everything away while going through the spoilers? But maybe we can, maybe we can't. But
I think maybe the overall mechanism a little bit of the story is important to understand, like, of how it's all all happening.
Right.
sorry, my like iTunes just pulled up, and I was like, I haven't used iTunes since I was in 11th grade.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
So with that, I think one of the important elements to understand is that you've got like these snakes going around, and these girls are still just partying and having fun and smoking weed and doing drugs, and then you have Slater King. He's always walking around and he's got his vape, and all the girls wake up and they're in the same outfits. They all wear the same perfume, and it's all laid out to them. And even in the very beginning of the movie, they're like, isn't it a little weird that they knew like our exact size and they knew exactly like what to like wear? Like, this is a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, it's just rich people shit. I think is literally what Aaliyah Shawkwat's character says.
Yeah.
And so then you have Naomi Ackie, who just remembers her friend being there. No one else can seem to remember her. She starts going around and looking for her friend, and she stumbles into this weird little building that's sort of like all the way in the back of the what I'll call a compound.
Yeah.
And it's got all of these red bags lined up, almost like I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's very, very, very beautifully shot.
Again, bright colors, and it's like a white lit back. It's like you're walking into a boutique. This little thing at the back of the island is like walking into a boutique, and you have all these little bags lined up, all these little gift bags, all these little things, like you just went to a party. You went to a rich person's party.
So, yeah, you're like, and the whole time, you're right, Alex. That's a good point. Everyone is operating under the assumption like this is just rich people shit.
Right.
This is just how they live, and we don't understand. So for a majority of the movie, you're like, oh yeah, like if you went to Elon Musk's private villa in Greece or something, and he had a slide made of Jello, you'd be like, yeah, he can afford it. Why wouldn't you just do that? Like, it wouldn't, you wouldn't question it. And that's sort of, I think, what she's playing on, is because she's also operated in that and probably seen people fall victim to that. Like, so Zoe Kravitz is who I'm speaking of, has probably an interesting perspective. Jen Edwards has a comment and says, actually, I don't have my glove. Thank you. Venomous equals the animal produces poison and delivers it by biting or stinging. Poisonous equals a person or animal ingests the toxin. That's good to know. I actually did not really know the difference at all.
Steve Nara, if Elon gave a perfume to his guests, it would be
boo.
I
like that one.
Musk.
The serpent in the garden. Pitano says. Pete, did you watch this, or is that some obscure reference that I just don't understand?
But the Garden of Eden, serpents in the Garden of Eden. Everything's perfect, and there's snakes going around. He said, you don't have to see in the movie to see that. You never heard? No?
Is there a book or something?
I literally got the dude the snake guy is right up there in angel form. Well, yeah, so she walks into this room, and it kind of like increases the mystery. And the woman that we had mentioned, if you can bring up that group shot again, Alex, where Channing Tatum's got her arm around her. Well, she's a worker that's been there. And it seems like she's, she's always around. She's killing the snakes. She's doing laundry. Every time she sees Naomi Ackie's character, she says, Red Rabbit.
She says, Red Rabbit. And, she doesn't like, and I think in Naomi Ackie's character's defense, she's like, oh, maybe she's just an older woman that he employs. And she's just kind of losing it a little bit. But she says like, Red Rabbit, Red Rabbit, Red Rabbit. So she like opens one of the doors, and that older woman is in there, and she's got like this like green toxin looking thing. Well, it almost looks like
absinthe.
I would say ecto cooler.
Yeah, it's like ecto cooler color. And then you look, and she's got a literal pile of dead snakes that she's just milking. She's just milking their venom out of their dead snaky bodies. Those poor little
dead snaky bodies. And I think it's important the motion she makes. Like, so the older woman looks at Naomi Ackie's character and is like, like, oh, okay, I won't tell anyone you're drinking on the job. Like, you're just you're on vacation too. Like, why not? And so she looks at her and hands it to her, and she's just like, okay, like, I'm on vacation. Like, okay. And drinks, like takes a shot of it, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, it's terrible, it's horrible. And then the rest of that day, she starts getting these like little flashbacks of things that have happened. And I think this is where you learn what the mystery sort of is. And I think we can spoil this part because there's a lot of things that come out of that are not bad.
And we can only spoil so much in 5 more minutes. So
yeah, exactly. So essentially, when the girls wake up every morning, they are, like all the guys like them to smell a certain way, and they spray this perfume. And some of I've seen that, there are theories that even the clothes they wear are laced with it. But Channing Tatum's character is not only a tech billionaire, but he has created this perfume out of local flora and various other things that makes people forget, that it gives them like temporary amnesia. So every time these girls spray it on themselves, they forget everything until the next morning of that day.
Oh, and they just every morning. It's every almost morning. Like the Men in Black thing.
Exactly.
But it's a perfume.
Perfume. It's a good way of putting it.
And it doesn't. By the way, you gotta remember, it doesn't just last till the next morning. It erases the night. It's like Job Bluth's "Forget Me Now." You know what I mean? Where like
I was thinking about that when I was watching the movie.
To the point that he keeps refilling the pills because he doesn't remember refilling the pills the day before because he keeps taking the Forget Me Nows. So it's literally. It's almost like a magnet to your hard drive of a brain that whatever happened, you spray it, and the whole 24 hours didn't even happen. There's no remembering it.
Exactly.
As long as you've sprayed that, you don't remember nothing.
And so I think, Zoe Kravitz very expertly also mentions, like, she's also mentioned that, like, yeah, like it's implied that the chef, right, like they put it in the girls' food as well, because just in case they didn't spray it on that morning, like they make sure they get it from all areas. And again, this is a little bit where the trigger warning comes in, but the purpose of it is because these men purposely selected these women to come to this island to torment them, whether it be via SA or there's a guy just at one point yelling at one of the girls, like just like saying, like, did you hear him?
Yeah, degrading her verbally.
It was actually Haley Joel Osment is degrading her, and he says something about his wife because he's divorced, and so he's basically just like using this poor woman as a stand-in, like, for his wife. And then they wake up
to a tree, and she's just being forced to watch everything that's happening, and it's really terrible.
And one of the interesting things too is that you've got Levin Hawk, who is the guy over there in the white shirt, the younger guy. He works in King Tech, and he is like his company is being acquired eventually. He's like a genius. He is actually in a way, I mean, this is a little bit of a complicated sentence, but also a victim, because he is not doing any of the assaulting, because I think they're trying to, like, they, being these men and Slater King, Channing Tatum's character, are trying to groom him to be one of these bros, and he's just not that.
Right. That's not him at all. And just him having these breakdowns, seeing what's going on, and then you realize that since he's there, he's at this party. This is probably his first party he's ever been to. He has a complete breakdown because of what's happening. You know that they're using the perfume and stuff on him too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is explicitly said that they use it on him.
Yeah, and he is completely shocked every time something bad is happening. He just does not understand why, because he has forgotten everything that already happened. And because we want to, there are some satisfying revenge parts in this movie that are fun to watch, even as you realize it's like, it's like you don't want to see the part that deserves the revenge, but people show those to you, so you realize, so you feel better when they have them, their vengeance. But it is a lot unfolds, and it's too hard to go into all of this, especially because we've already been talking about this, and now it's too hard to go into all of it. But You find out that Alia Shawkat, the snake biting her, the reason why they hate these snakes is because the snake venom counteracts and this is the evolution of this island, right? You look at it, it's the evolution of this island. You have a plant that makes you forget things. You have a snake that makes you remember. It's very biblical.
Yeah,
it's kind of
very biblical.
very, very biblical. Because it's like the tree of right and wrong, the knowledge of right and wrong. This thing takes away the knowledge of right and wrong, and the snake, who's the devil, who's supposed to be like, oh, do the things he's the one who's making you remember what's right and wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like very Adam and Eve, it's very, very weird, very creepy.
Yeah, it's very like, what is it, giveth and taketh away, like literally, like you said, it's very biblical. And that's sort of where we'll leave it. Naomi Accie's character and Adria Aronia kind of start to understand basically everything we just said, like, oh, the snake venom counteracts that. And then really the third act is a horror movie still, but like a different type of horror movie. So it's really, you get 3 very different movies in Blink Twice. And again, I like really enjoyed it. I think this is a movie that is going to be another streaming hit. My guess is this time next month it'll probably be on VOD, not streaming for about another 2 months. But yeah, Alex, I mean, people go watch it. Like again, we've done some heavy movies. So the next one maybe will be a little bit less heavy, but this is a movie that I'd recommend because it is a good film. And when you close your eyes and you see it being Zoe Kravitz, like, it's just more satisfying for me.
Yeah. And I definitely think if it's still playing, because for as much spoiling as we did, we left out large chunks of it because, sometimes it's not the destination, it's the journey. I say this to people all the time, watching how they get there. I don't care, spoiler alert, I don't care that Tony Stark died as much as I care as how we got to that point. You know what I mean? Over 10 years. But yeah, this thing, there's still a lot of satisfying things to unpack for yourself, and there's still a lot of shocking things. I do say trigger warning if you're going to go see this, because it is jarring and alarming.
There's a couple of pretty intense scenes.
But I would say definitely worth watching, whether you go, if it's still in your theater or if you watch it streaming. I think it's going to be a memorable thing for a lot of people. And I honestly, like, again, this is a good first showing. I think Zoe Kravitz, anything she learned from making this movie, she'll take to make something else. I would love to see her transition to more things like this than acting. Like, I don't even want to see the Batman Part 2. But I would love to see her doing more roles.
I hope she makes a Marvel movie. Like, I hope she goes that route
and makes a good Marvel movie. Because
goes into the big studio budgets like they try to do with Chloe Zhao, and Chloe Zhao had all these incredible films, and Marvel's like, yeah, go get her. They're like, but don't announce it until we know you've won an Oscar.
Yeah.
So that way we can put Oscar-winning director Chloe. Anyways, this isn't what that's about. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, we appreciate you guys being here with us on Saturday, talking movies, even if it's a movie you guys have never seen. Our next movie, we haven't quite decided yet, but we will announce it in the group. Just a busy week and not a really good showing of movies out. So maybe we'll do an older one, Alex.
Yeah, because you can join Fandom Socialites for that announcement. But yeah, because oh my gosh, I don't want to see The Crow, man. I don't want to see Beetlejuice. And I'm gonna be out of town for that this week, so I can't even watch it. So
it's it's interesting. I think there's not a lot that I'm excited for, and I feel like every movie, not only the ones that we've covered, but that's coming out, has been so heavy and dark lately, and that's been something upbeat and fun. Maybe we'll do something that we know most of you have seen, or at least hopefully. We probably should have done Deadpool if we had the time and energy for that, but
I mean, seriously, what else is coming out? I don't know. I'll see something that I wouldn't normally see just to do something fun. No, if the first thing that comes up on my screen was Reagan, I'm like, no, thank you. I'll
what? You don't want to go see?
I mean, maybe Reagan? I will see Beetlejuice, because it could be a lot of fun.
Did you go on Regal?
Yeah, maybe I'll go watch. Maybe watch My Old Ass. I will tell you this, everybody. The only thing I will never watch, unless you pay me $500, I will never watch Speak No Evil. I'm never going to see that movie, because that movie has been Every single movie I've gone to see, if I show up at the beginning, it's the first trailer. If I go in and I get my seat, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on the popcorn line. I'm going to go pee. I get there, it's the third trailer. And if I wait 25 minutes and I'm waiting and I'm like, oh, that door's about to close, I'm going to go in and sit down. For some reason, like the last trailer, they'll stop the movie. If I miss the first 20 minutes of a movie, they'll stop the movie and just play the Speak No Evil trailer. They play that. I'm watching a movie and there's a TV in the background playing the Speak No Evil trailer.
It's like a commercial.
I never want to see
what's going on in this island. We'll find out after our commercial break.
Yeah, Speak No Evil.
Please don't discipline my kids.
I hate it so much. Anyways, so
it makes me like, I'm not excited for that movie because I think it's going to be like just fine. But I am excited for it to be over. For me, it's Smile. Like, Smile is the one that I get all the time, and I'm like,
I've seen that trailer 3 times because again, I show up to the movies. If the movie's at 7:20, I leave my house at 7:20 because I'm 20 minutes away from the theater, and then I park. I get my popcorn, and I know that I'll eventually miss it, and I always catch it, no matter what.
That's
no
so
matter
funny
what.
that it's like
always there. It's
like the Truman Show. They're just like waiting for you to come in. They're like, run it now. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Just as a heads up. So, Alex, you're out next Saturday, right?
Possibly,
Yeah.
Most
so
likely.
we probably won't. We might not have. You guys will have a week off from us entirely because we're not going to have a show on Monday.
Yeah. Because of the laborious day that is Labor Day.
The laborious. Alex is getting his beard fluffed, and that's an all day thing. So he is not available. Yeah. So enjoy your long weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. We really, really appreciate you guys being here. So if you guys watch the movie, you have any thoughts on the movie or another movie you guys would like to see us cover, let us know in the comments or let us know in the group Fandom Socialites. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Like what you love what you like, and don't vape. Off of Slater King's vape. I think too, it's like the way that